Okay, let's talk numbers. Hello, Ellen. Good to see you. And where?
Hi, Miles.
And you are for the second time wrong. It's daylight where you are now.
It is daylight. It is approximately 5 minutes to 8
My God.
here, East Coast time, Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, and it's 5 minutes to 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in England in Wiltshire. We're doing a take two on this, so without too much ado, you've been doing some printing on your printer. Hopefully, this is going to stick. Uh,
Actually, a friend's printer.
a friend's printer.
A friend's printer. My neighbor's, as a matter of fact, not mine.
Okay, Ellen, you're in the United States.
That's right. I'm on the East Coast. I'm approximately 3 hours south of Washington, D.C. Right, 15 minutes from both the Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. In the center, actually, of the military-industrial complex in all of the country. There's quite a bit of activity happening in this area. About 15 minutes from where I live, there's the Norfolk Naval Base, which houses all of the nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, as well as, the other fleet of amphibious ships and what have you. And then we have Little Creek Amphibious Base. That's where the SEAL teams are based. And then over at Dam Neck, towards the ocean, that's where SEAL Team 6 is based at. And we have Oceana, that's the master jet base, where all the Super Hornets, the F-18 Super Hornets are. And we're up on the peninsula. It's called the Peninsula. It's a part of this area, though, because we're separated by the Chesapeake Bay, but over on the other, so we call it the other side. We're called the south side, but over on the peninsula in Hampton, of course, we have Langley Air Force Base. There's some significant activity happening over there, and the CIA base headquarters is also in Langley also.
So you're well covered if Father Christmas doesn't get back to you.
What's that?
If you don't get if Father Christmas doesn't deliver his put the mic on.
I think NORAD. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, NORAD. They're here too. The FBI. I mean, they're all here. It's like.
Well, that's the only important thing that's actually relevant, making sure Father Christmas and Santa Claus gets round. But in Europe, he has to do it before you get it in the States, you see.
That's right. That's right.
It was earlier, so, they've got to make sure these sort of things happen. Got to make sure real things happen. Now, what happened? What's happened with...
Well, there's a lot that's been there's a lot of activity that's been happening. The first... I think in terms of having a sort of outline to discuss of what is happening and what's been happening, I would like to begin firstly to address the spraying and the geoengineering and the chemtrails and the intensity of it. I've been kind of tracking the skies, I guess you would say, for the past year or so, Miles. And I did take some video. I do have some video footage that was taken over the summer, but they have really...
We're sort of doing this a little bit of a test.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I got some video of some very strange scalar stuff here from just the day Trump was sworn in. So I thought that was quite significant. It's just hung in the sky.
Oh, I think so too. And what's very interesting is that, especially with the level of intensity of activity, military activity in this area, I mean, every day it's happening. The skies are just being whited out, and you can clearly see the chemtrails. I mean, there's at any given point in the sky, there's at least 7 or 8 super tankers just crisscrossing, just back and forth and back and forth, and it's so obvious. It's so aggressively, blatantly obvious that, I still don't understand how or why people think that these are contrails when they're clearly not. They're creating a haze. It's an aerosol. It hangs in the air. It gives you the impression that these may sort of be kind of like very odd-shaped, thinly veiled clouds, but they're not. They hang in the air. They haze out the sun completely, and they're there, I'd say, for, a good part of the afternoon until everything kind of just falls out and dissipates. Sometimes they'll come back and fog it up all over again, and then sometimes they'll let it go for the day. But they're doing it on overcast days too, because you can see you can see you can see the demarcation in the sky where the lines are the flight pattern is being created. I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious. And I mean,
different to is this a difference in pattern since Trump's come in? Is there some change there?
I think it's increased. I think it's increased significantly, and we've been having just such, I'd say, wide-ranging fluctuations in our weather temperatures. Our weather has been bizarre. One day, there's a low of 24 degrees and everybody's freezing, and there's, a terrible, like, I wouldn't say blizzard coming through because we don't have snow, but there's like a gale force wind, almost like a northeaster type storm coming through. Winds are 30 miles an hour. And then 24 hours later, people are out wearing shorts and flip-flops. It's in the 70s. Like today, it's supposed to be, I believe, like the high is 65. And then tomorrow, I think it might top out at 80. And then, the beginning of next week, it's going to go right back down into the 40s and 30s. And then it's just the weather's all over the place. There's no predictability whatsoever. There's a lot of people that are sick right now. I have a friend that lives a little further up the coast, and she was just diagnosed with the scarlet fever, which no one has really heard about, or most people don't even know what it is. I mean, it's just kind of a...
Yeah, this scarlet fever thing you mentioned before.
Centuries old sickness or illness. I mean, and then me personally speaking, the last 2 winters I've contracted whooping cough. Luckily and gratefully so, I haven't had that this winter, but it was very painful, and a lot of people have been getting sick, and it's just affecting the way people think. It's affecting the way people act. The levels of violence have increased. The protesting.
You mentioned the levels of violence. What exactly are you talking about?
Oh, well, I mean, all you have to do is turn on the news to see what's happening. I mean, countrywide. I'm not speaking here like on a local level. I'm speaking in terms of our entire country. The level of just hate, just sheer hatred for what's happened with the elections, and just there's this entire movement of hate and violence and intolerance and division, and it's ripping apart people's families. People are getting divorced over this election. It's ripping families apart. I mean, people are actually leaving their husbands and wives because of who our president is now. And people just can't seem, for whatever reason it is, Miles, people cannot seem to just get on with the fact that this is our president, whether you love him or hate him. And
because in the United Kingdom, the Archbishop of Canterbury has actually sort of pointed out that there's something really weird going on. This hysteria. It's ridiculous.
Yes, it's absolute hysteria. I mean, that is the perfect word for it too. Because
commentators in certain TV networks, which are saying that
they're in the pot. Yes. Well, that's alleged. It's alleged It's alleged that he is funding the Black Lives Matter movement, which of course is a hate group. The Black Panthers are being mentioned. The Ku Klux Klan is being mentioned. Other organizations are being mentioned. I mean, they're just making stuff up at this point to have a reason to get out there and to be angry and to protest and to, ruin businesses and to loot and to vandalize and to riot and to burn down police cars. And people hate the police. People don't want any type of law or order anymore. It's anarchy. It's chaos. It's moving in towards just absolute anarchy at this point. And it's alarming. I mean, it's just the type of situation where you don't really want to go out in public because something could pop off.
Now we're talking
in a second.
We're talking early February here from a dateline point of view, but
sure.
I don't want to concentrate on the current sort of political
right.
But you've printed out a couple of things.
Correct. Yes, that's correct.
You want to find out what that is?
Sure, absolutely. Of course, I'm a small business owner, and we won't get into that right now. That's not what's important. But what is important is that my printer, I needed to purchase ink for it, so I called up a friend of mine who has a printer, and I just needed to print off just, 5 or 6 sheets of something that I use daily in my business, in terms of, it's like a spreadsheet, it's just a name, a line, and, sections for names, phone numbers, and then a section for notes. It's just very straightforward, very simple. So I went over to my friend's house. He lives, about 5 minutes away from here, and went into his office, and we made sure there was nothing else in the printer. And of course, we just started printing off the document, and the first couple of sheets that came out were, of course, identical to what was laying on the printer glass. And then a sheet came out that alarmed, not really alarmed, but it definitely got both of us, it grabbed our attention, because there are rather, a series of numbers that look handwritten in black ink on this sheet of paper. There was nothing else in the printer at the time, and both my friend and I, we sat down and we discussed this for at least 20 to 30 minutes to try to come up with some type of logical or rational conclusion as to like how this could have happened, and neither one of us could really make sense of it. But I'll show it to you now.
Okay.
And I'm just going to move the light.
The thing about this is that this is something which has appeared by some other force, or...
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. There's no scientific, rational, or any type of even logical explanation that can even begin to explain this. This is definitely not my handwriting by far.
What we want to do here, we want to get people who have seen this, in terms of this pattern. Can people out help, which is what this is for?
Sure, absolutely, because this
message in these series of numbers.
I believe there is some kind of message behind this, and I believe that it's cryptic, and I'm really not sure if it's in some type of like code, whether it's like gematria having to do with a holy message, or with the Bible, or if it's has to do with numerology. No, we don't know, and hopefully those of you that are out there watching will take a good look at this and perhaps be able to give Miles and myself some feedback, because I'm a bit gobsmacked and a bit stumped, but I do know that there is some type of message behind this. So here it is. You ready, Miles?
We're ready.
All right.
The message.
This is the sheet of paper.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's just a basic list.
It's a blank sheet of paper, blank list of what you would use in your business, but there's some...
Yeah, absolutely. It's a basic contact sheet for names, phone numbers, and then, of course, any type of notes that I would want to write after I've had a conversation with somebody. However, upon closer analysis, if I turn this sheet horizontal...
Right. Now we've got a 0.
Bring it up close.
A 0, 2, 3, 6, 7, 9.
Can you see that all right, Miles?
10 is... can you hear me? 10 is...
Oh, yeah.
10 is scratched out. The 1 of the 10 is scratched out. Then we have 13, the 1 of the 10 scratched out. And then 14, 17, 20, and 21, which you... This was fresh ink. In other words, we're not talking about a pre-printed sheet of paper.
Not
got left behind. This is really this has come out from nowhere, and so we get the 0. Now the 0 goes round a word. What's that word?
Well,
read that phrase out.
Yeah, I can certainly do that for you. It just simply says it is important to emphasize that success in any business opportunity does not come without hard work, and this is either a 0 or the word hard has been circled on purpose.
Yeah, just if you hold it a wee bit further away,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, hard. And that's smudged as well, because that's what...
Yeah, well, I smudged that deliberately because I was like, that is fresh black ink from a pen. It's not, and I smudged it up top too. The letter 21. I also did that as well. But
been printed by something or other from your printer.
Or written. This was written. This handwriting. And then as you can see, the numbers, I I'm looking like kind of upside down. You can see better than I can. The 10 and the 13 look like they were scribbled through, like somebody must have had a second thought, or maybe they weren't quite sure that they wanted to use those numbers. There was like maybe some sort of doubt or confusion, perhaps.
So the task at hand is this a mathematical pattern with some kind of a code? Is that right?
I believe so. The question is, what is it saying? Who's saying? Well, first, who's saying it? What is it saying? What does it mean? And how does it kind of all come together? I mean, these numbers, I don't think these numbers were just pulled out of the sky randomly. And I mean, there's just something a little bit more to this, I think, than.
So this is this IQ test of some kind that's got some kind of a code in it.
There's definitely some kind of code, without a doubt. I mean, that's my belief. I mean, I could be way, left of center.
I want people to find out what that code is and write into us, tell us on Facebook, or email me direct.
Correct.
Well, that's a big mystery.
It certainly is. It certainly is. And to think that we were both sitting at the printer, and I have an eyewitness, and the first couple of sheets that came out were absolutely blank and fine.
What we'll do is we'll do a little pause there, and we'll check that this is actually stuck, and then we'll finish it off with a second sort of a part 2. Okay?
That's fine. Sounds good to me.
Do a little pause there and get back to you. That's good. If you just
okay.
I have to talk business. I'll get back to you. Right?
Yep. Well, we're back. Okay, great.
Okay, what's the okay? We've done the numbers. What
right
situation generally? I mean, what's the ultimate message for this that you want to have? What do you actually want people to talk about on this?
Well, I think. Well, let me show this again. Let's just recap really quickly, really briefly.
Okay.
Okay, let's just do a brief recap of this. I was over at a friend's house yesterday. I needed to use this printer and print off just a basic sheet, contact sheet for names, phone numbers, and notes. It's very straightforward, and I needed to make 7 or 8 copies of it. So he doesn't have a laser printer. It's just a standard printer. And we checked the printer bed, the glass, to make sure nothing else was there, that nothing else had been there. And so we started to print the first couple of copies. The first couple of copies came out absolutely normal. And I'll show those to you right here.
Yeah. That's clean. Yeah.
Yeah. And they, they're all identical. They're all the same. Well, midway through the printing, this sheet comes out. And this sheet, I'm going to hold it this way so that you can see it, has, let me turn it this way. Sorry. As you can see, there are a series of numbers written in black ink. This is definitely not my handwriting. It appears to be the handwriting of a man. And it was fresh black ink. And like I said, it just came straight out of the printer in the middle of the print job. The sheets that came out after this sheet were blank, like the ones before it. And these numbers, I'm not sure if this is a word that has been circled or if this is a 0. We have not.
Yeah, I think that looks like a 0 as part of the number sequence, but it is over a word, so possibly that word, which is hard, H-A-R,
which is hard, H-A-R-D,
could be a letter code to go with the number code.
Very possibly so. I'm not quite sure. But in any event, these are all of the numbers, and what I'd really like to bring attention to the viewer is that whatever entity decided to write these numbers clearly had a little bit of a conflict with the numbers 10 and 13 miles, because I'm looking at back. Yeah, because you can see that they weren't quite sure, that there may have been some doubt or some hesitation.
We have to check that those squiggles through the number 1 could be part of the code.
Okay.
Some of these codes work on a line series. For instance, codes can be, if it is a code, we don't know. If the lines that texts are written on can be at a certain angle, and the angle of the line itself can, in other words, the angle of the way the words are written, the angle has a number. So put that number into that angle gives you the one way of decrypting the code. If we're really going to go deep, we could be massively overcomplicating something here. The important thing that we're talking about here is that those letters smudged because they came straight out of the printer.
Correct.
And it's interesting that the numbers are on lines.
Some of them are.
Some of them are on lines, so I don't know.
There's some sort of order, but then again, there's some hesitation, perhaps doubt that I'm seeing. But the real question is who is this message coming from? What does it mean? Why? And how do we decipher from here and put this all together to
hold it a little bit further back? It gets a hold of it.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Now there are other numbers. Just to add some other numbers here, there are other numbers on the top of the of where these numbers are in columns, which have got numbers on them. I don't think that's part of the code, but it could be. Sets of numbers here. There's the numbers that the thing's printed with, and then there's the number handwritten in the column with those numbers. So 21 is on 7, 20's on 9, 17's on 11, 14's on 13, and 13's on 15. The 0 of the 10 is on 17, and the 1 of the 10 stroked out's on 18, and the 9 of the 19's on 19. It's split between 19. That could be 9/11. Jesus. The 7 is on 21. The 6 is on 24. The 3, which also looks like a B, is on 26 and a bit of 27. The 2's on 29.
That's a 3, or is it a 2?
The 3's on the 3's on the 26, and the 2's on the 29, and then the
0 is circled, and let me pull this up so people can kind of read that.
It's on hard.
Right.
Across two. You just pull it back a little bit more to keep it in focus. No, if you put, yeah. Well, it's on 2 words. It's on hard and another word. Can you read? However.
That, hard. It's circled hard, and that are included in the circle. I'm not sure if your viewers can actually.
It's not that clear where that is. I think.
Yeah, it's that and the word. Okay.
Well, the mystery sheet with the mystery numbers and letters. Well, Ellen, what we'll do is we'll actually put this together as a sort of an Ellen fast blast.
Okay.
Numbers, strange numbers. Is that right? You want to call it that?
They're not my numbers, that's for sure. I just simply sat at the printer with my friend, and these numbers appeared out of the printer, and they are not my numbers. I might try to play them in the lottery to see if I have any luck, Miles. But I'm not much of a gambler. But I do think that there's something very significant about this, and the question is, what is the message and where is it coming from?
That they appeared
yesterday. So that was the 8th, 9th, 10th. Excuse me. Yeah. No, actually, Miles, that's incorrect. I need to retract that. It was the day before yesterday, so it was the 9th. And it was approximately, the time was approximately 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern.
Correct.
Well, let's say goodbye for the third time.
All right.
And I'll get this together, and it'll actually record it. We've actually got 1.09 gigabytes on this as opposed to 0 bytes. So we'll put this straight out. I'm going to UFO Congress on Monday, hopefully. See if they let me in the country. God knows. And
we should make a stop here first, and we can go for tea.
That would be very nice. Okay. Well, it's really good to see you.
Oh, you as well.
See, this is important. I think this is a mystery.
Certainly is. It's a cryptic one at that too, I believe.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's hope the bloody thing sticks this time.
Let's hope.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye now.
Come back after the tone. So what do you want to add?
Oh, well, I think a very interesting point to add to the fact that we've discovered what we've discovered was the night before a completely full moon, a lunar eclipse, and a comet on top of that.
Oh, there was a comet last night?
There was. And I mean, you can look this up. So all of this happened
that
before.
should still be there. I mean, it's not something that
Oh,
just sort of
I'm
flies
sure.
past.
Right, I'm sure. I think it was supposed to have been visible last night, but it was overcast here. So, of course, I didn't go outside. It was too cold to go out and stargaze. But
Yeah.
it's there's quite a bit of lunar activity, and there's a bit of shifting in terms of energies, and this happened right the night before. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Obviously.
Yeah, but in what way? I mean, in what way are you talking about here?
Well, just in terms of...
I mean, a few things happening isn't necessarily, big deal, is it?
I don't know. Just in terms of the shifting of the energies, it could be significant. It could not be significant.
Well,
but
there must be some other reason why you decided to come out with that. I mean, what key thing is the thing that's made you want to come back on, make this call? Must be something more than just a bit of energy.
No. I just simply wanted to state that and let our viewers be aware that this sheet of paper came out the night before a full moon, an eclipse, and a comet. I mean, some people might link the two. I'm not necessarily...
Are you sort of trying... Are you trying to say that because there's been a full moon, an eclipse, and a piece of paper... And a full moon, eclipse, and a comet, and a piece of paper with a lot of numbers on it, that in some way this could be foretelling doom, disaster, and mayhem? There's no way. That's a loaded question.
I want people to be able to take a look at what we presented and to perhaps take a deeper look into it. I presented the facts and I presented the circumstances. And whatever people want to conclude, or whatever conclusions or whatever perceptions they have of what's been presented, my opinion doesn't necessarily validate anything. I mean, I'm just...
Yeah, well, this is it. We're not actually looking for your opinion or my opinion. What we're looking for is what the people out there are actually coming up with stuff. And we want to publish all this.
Absolutely.
And the basis.org website actually working now. So I'll maybe be able to do that.
Right. And I mean, I just thought that it was worth mentioning to whoever that's out there may think that this could all possibly tie in together. It's a possibility. I'm not an expert on the subject, but maybe those people who are might be able to link it all together and be able to decipher what's happening.
Good. There they are. There you can see it working. It's not amazing. Good. Anything else you want to say just to say goodbye and good evening and all that?
Good evening, and I just hope that people will take a really good look at this, that people will take this seriously. I want to emphasize that in no way was this made up. It's not my handwriting.
Yeah, no, I think that's fairly well established with that blur. Right. That was a good thing to do, to have the blur, to show that is ink that
is fresh ink, absolutely. And it does resemble a male a male, male penmanship. I guess that's
Are
the
you
better
telling me
word
that
for it.
James Casbolt did this interdimensionally from jail in England and sent it to you by some kind of... I'm trying to poke a bit of fun here because this is very serious, really.
I don't know. I don't know what he's capable of. I have no idea. I know what he alleges that he's capable of, but I mean, that's the thing with James Casbolt is that, who really knows, who can really uh who can discern between, what's fact and what's fiction with him. I mean, only he really
Well,
knows
that
what's
is
fact.
something that his friends did
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
complain about. He did actually... Hello?
Yep. Oh,
You've
what
lost your
happened?
video. Your video's gone. Yeah, there it is. Back
No,
again.
it just happened. I didn't switch
Ah,
off. I didn't touch
it's
anything. It
gone
just
out. It's
went
gone
black.
again.
It went black. It's completely, my screen is completely black, Miles.
Right, okay. Well, let's get you back on. Right, there you are. Right, we'll finish this off. Right, this is gonna run for about an hour now. You know that. Oh, we've lost your sound. You've muted your mic.
No,
Now it's back.
No, we're fine.
That's now working. Right, okay. Yeah.
Not to interrupt you, but getting back to the question that you just asked me referring to James Casbolt, do you think that he may have a hand in any of this? I'm not so sure. The mystery with James Casbolt is that the allegations or his story, I think that, a lot of people are trying to discern what's true and what's not true, or what's actually happened versus an exaggeration of what happened. So I can't really answer that question. I think that maybe that's an interesting point of view, Miles. However, who knows? Who really knows?
That was really just a throwaway remark because I'm writing a letter to him because he sent me this letter about Maitreya.
The Maitreya,
Yeah,
right? The
Maitreya,
Antichrist,
sorry,
basically.
yeah. So, and the comments on YouTube have been more or less, that's old news. The thing what I'm trying to figure out is why would he talk about this now?
Perhaps he has information that he feels like needs to come out, and perhaps he has a contact that has credibility, that has information, and he wants to maybe perhaps be the first person to announce it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
To try and build his...
Maybe he wants to take the credibility for being the first person to really announce it. And, his thing is that he is here to talk us through all of this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's why. I'm not sure really what his motives are.
Well, certainly the BBC's treatment of Max Spears is very serious, and 8 other documentaries by Vice.com on the Max Spears targeting individual stuff. I mean, this other company called Vice has spent a lot of time filming and recording here, but also, lots and lots of other people interviews in great depth. And that's due to the Max Spears' death, and the BBC here 5 or 6 hours just for people to know here. Obviously, the BBC's involved with some of the greatest mind control. It's got it's got history. It's a state broadcaster, so it's no
Absolutely.
So people are very gravely suspicious of the BBC, rightly so. But they're doing a program on Max, whether some people like it or not, and it's going to air shortly here in the UK. Okay, we'll say goodbye, and the sunlight's come up. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And
Also.
we'll get this edited in. We'll get on with the edit and get this up, right? Okay.
Sounds good.